With this session update, I'm Shannon Lurkey. The Senate Education Committee met to consider a bill that would require the Department of Education to administer the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments, or MCAs, this spring, regardless of whether the students are distance learning, in a hybrid model, or in the classroom.
One of the goals here is to ensure we know where kids are at, so we know what has to be done as we go forward. Nobody likes testing, especially under these circumstances. MCAs were waived last year, obviously, for obvious reasons. But we must find out where the kids are at so we know what we got to do to move forward. We know that there is catch up to do, but it helps a lot more if we have firm, clear idea of what it is we have to do and how far we have to go. So again, nobody likes tests, but this is directing the Minnesota Department of Education to develop and make sure the MCAs and to make sure that they move forward with the plan and any contingencies or alternatives due to remote and hybrid situations. It will not be easy, I admit, but we simply must find out where these kids are at. So that is, and Mr. Chair, the intent is to take this to the floor when I move it at the end of the testimony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Chamberlain. First up, we have Josh Cruson from Ed Allies. Just unmute yourself and please state your name for the record and go ahead and give us your testimony.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Josh Crossan. I'm with Ed Allies. Ed Allies is an education advocacy group dedicated to improving education outcomes for all students. I'm here to support SF 628, which requires MDE to develop a plan for schools throughout Minnesota to administer assessments through distance learning, in-person, or hybrid models. With our test designers, we know that MDE has the ability to do this. I believe this legislation will instill in them the will to do this. I usually start what seems to be annual conversations about the need for student data with what we know about Minnesota students. That only 1 out of every 3 students of color can read at grade level. That while high school graduation rates are increasing every year, our high school graduates are dropping further and further behind in math every year. That our race-based gaps have widened so much that homeless white students are now outperforming Black and Native American students in reading and math in Minnesota. I usually start this way, but now I can't today. Why? Because we just don't have that information. The MCAs are our state's only window into how our students are learning and doing, and through distance learning and impacts through COVID. We need that information now more than ever. Last school year, Minnesota prudently decided to stop the MCAs temporarily. I believe that was the correct decision at the time, but it came at a significant cost. We simply do not know how kids are doing now, and any policies around catching kids up wouldn't be based on what we've been able to measure. We have no idea how many 4th graders can read. We don't know how many high school seniors can do math at grade level. We don't know how many students grew over the course of this school year. We simply do not know how our kids are doing, and that is completely unacceptable for the state. I hope we can elevate the conversation in future years and get to a place of how assessment data can be actionable and work for parents to help them advocate for their kids and work for teachers to help them give them an understanding of where our kids are and what they need to do to close gaps. Until then, I implore you to protect this information and keep students and their learning at the center of our education system. Senator Chamberlain, thank you so much for introducing this legislation, and I'll be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. I have Shauna Morse up next. Please just put your camera on, state your name for the record, and go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Shana Morse. I am the Assistant Director of Government Relations at the Department of Education. Thank you for this opportunity to provide comments on Senate File 628 today. So first, I want to say that we understand that there are safety concerns around in-person activities. We have worked closely with our partners at the Department of Health on health and safety protocols around these in-person activities, including assessments, and have been in communication with assessment coordinators with updates. So my comments today will be focused on the nature of the challenges right now around remote testing. By way of background, the MCAs measure student achievement related to the academic standards in mathematics, reading, and science. The assessment process requires a high level of integrity in order for the results to be considered valid. Assessment results that are not valid should not be compared or combined with valid results and thus do not serve as an accountability measure. The traditional in-person assessment environment is highly secure. In-person assessments are secured physically through a controlled environment that includes a proctor, the absence of resources or materials such as phones or notes, and the oversight of the actual test materials to ensure that they're not taken, copied, or distributed. For remote testing to be equally as secure as in-person testing, additional structures are required. These additional measures might include something like video or web monitoring. These structures are not currently in place to create a secure remote testing environment and are quite unlikely to be in place when the testing window opens March 8th. We are not aware of any other state that is conducting assessments remotely at this time, likely for these very reasons. At this point, if Minnesota students did take the MCAs remotely, those test scores would not be considered valid and subsequently would not be able to be compared or combined with those taken by students in person. So as I mentioned, additional structures are needed for remote testing to be secure. Understanding the landscape, we at MDE did start exploring in a limited fashion what a remote option could look like, starting in late fall through this winter to look at some of the challenges of implementing remote testing. We looked at things like whether students have the bandwidth to view all of the content, or a fourth grader, would they know what to do if they were unexpectedly encountered technical difficulties. Ultimately, the limited field testing didn't provide what was necessary to implement a complete and secure statewide model. So the department is committed to the work around remote testing to ensure that all of the necessary policies and procedures are in place for assessments to be delivered securely. And in fact, the governor's policy bill, Senate File 788, would require the department to begin formal work on establishing parameters and policies needed to do just that. And that concludes my remarks. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. I see Senator Chamberlain has his hand up for additional comments. And then I have Senator Isaacson after Senator Chamberlain.
Yeah, just a quick note, members and Mr. Chair, you should have received in the emails in your packets a letter also from Excel and Ed supporting this idea as well. Thank you. That's all I got. Ready for questions.
Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. I've got Senator Isaacson, then Senator Kunish.
Yes, Senator Chamberlain, what this bill is doing is asking the Department of Education to create contingency plans for providing for the MCA test besides in person. Is that essentially, is that a statement that's fair to say? I want to make sure, at first I thought you were trying to say you have to do them and well, it's already required to be done. So I just want to make sure I understand it.
It is, thank you, Mr. Chair. It is a couple of things, you know, that currently is law and they were waived last year. We want to ensure that the department and the state understands the intent of the legislature is that the kids need to be assessed. And secondly, that we need to give them the authority and encouragement to do what they have to do to get those assessments done.
Senator Isaacson.
Yep, I have a question for the last Shannon Morris.
Ms. Morris, are you still on?
I am here.
Thank you. Does this bill give you authority? Is there anything in this bill that, how do I say this? It is my impression you already have all the authority this bill is trying to give you. Is that fair to say?
Ms. Morris?
Mr. Chair, Senator Isaacson, I am not sure that we have the authority to conduct remote testing. I think I would want to go back to the team and talk about that.
Got it.
But
okay.
the point of our comments today are the structures that would require for those results to be valid. And so if the students were to go through, if those structures were in place for them to actually take the test, again, we would need to make sure that the mechanisms or the measures are secure enough for those results to be considered valid and combined with the students who did take the assessment in person.
Senator Isaacson.
So, and then another question. So, is there anything from the federal government mandating you to do them online or like remotely?
Ms. Morris?
Mr. Chair, Senator Isaacson, there is nothing from the federal government mandating that they be done online. The federal government determines if they issue waivers for the assessments. And this year, a broad waiver like was done last year and was mentioned by someone has not been granted.
And Mr. Chair?
Senator Isaacson?
And to my knowledge, Ms. Morris, if I said that right, apologize if I didn't. And I'm just repeating to make sure I understand this correctly. The only person that can waive it is the federal government, correct?
Ms. Morse?
Mr. Chair, Senator Isaacson, that's correct.
So you have no authority to not give the test.
Ms. Morse?
Mr. Chair, Senator Isaacson, that is correct.
Okay. I share Senator Chamberlain's concern about making sure that they are assessed. I am concerned about kind of the intent that this is going along and what it's sending. I feel like there's a way to make that happen without having to pass legislation about it and having that discussion and figuring that out. It seems to me like there's kind of a disconnect over whether or not we believe MD is being honest with us about whether or not they can pull off remote testing. And I'm going to defer to MD on that and have to say that as much as I share the spirit of what you're trying to accomplish, Senator Chamberlain, I'm not sure I can agree with this as the means to get that accomplished. So thank you.
Senator Chamberlain?
And just quickly, yeah, we just simply want to ensure, underscore, I guess, highlight in bold that we believe that it's vitally important and where they need authority, if they do need authority, where the intent is to give them authority to do so. Again, it won't be easy, but we got to know where they're at, the kids are at. Thank you.
Then, Mr. Chair, can I ask Senator Chamberlain another question?
Senator Isaacson?
So my son is in first grade. I should probably know this, but I don't think he's got MCAs, right? First graders aren't given that, correct? Okay, just making sure. I was about to panic for a second there. But I can tell you that in the experience of watching him go through the year and having sat in on like hundreds of his little class meetings with his other students, you know, it just doesn't seem to me like when you think about what could be like in person and what it's like remotely, that those are apples to apples. And so my concern would be that if we're going to provide MCAs to students who have done remote school most of the time, when we all agree that it isn't the same as being there, are we going to get an accurate measure of things, right? Or is that the goal? And maybe that's the goal in your mind, is to demonstrate that they're not where they need to be, right? So I'm just kind of curious can you help me to understand that part of it? Because it seems like if we know the MCAs aren't going to match where they should be at, and we know we got a ways to go, are you thinking to yourself, well, we got to figure out where they are at all so we can make good choices going forward? Is that kind of your intent? Is that a better way to maybe say it?
Senator Chamberlain?
Well, look, no one's going to pretend that this would be easy or clear. Absolutely. Again, the intent is to work forward with the intent of moving forward with the test. Secondly, for example, when we have new standards that are released, test on those new standards, the asterisk, the note is that you can't necessarily compare the test with the new standards to the previous test. So part of that is already understood in the process. But again, to the extent that we can, do the best we can to get to the place we have to be.
All right, next up, I have Senator Kunish.
Thank you very much, and thank you, testifiers. You know, this is a really tough question. This is a really complicated situation because you really have to understand the whole culture around MCAs in classrooms and within the school year. As the library and media specialist at my elementary school, I was the testing coordinator for 12 years. So I did this, you know, hands-on for weeks on end. And that's really what it takes. It takes weeks to do this testing. And if the plan is to begin MCAs on March 8th, did you say? Then that will give, I think, and the window, you know, first you have to take the reading test, and that generally took at least 2 days per grade level to do that. And then you have to take the math test, and that's another at least 2 days. And then you have to, you know, rally up all the kids that missed it. And then fifth and ninth graders have to take the science test as well. And we are in a really, I don't have to tell you the kind of social emotional trauma that our kids and our families are in right now. And to be bringing like our middle school kids and our high school kids back into the classrooms now, I had to run over to the middle school that I taught at this morning and help them with a couple of things. And they're just bringing half of their 6th grade classrooms back in on Monday. And now you want to turn around and start testing them right away. I think we're going to find some pushback. And I'm just saying that I'm not against this. Yes, Chair?
Please continue. I was just acknowledging that Senator Chamberlain was going to respond as soon as you were done with your question.
Oh, yep. And then I guess I would like to find out how we will secure this test when we have it in the schools. I mean, it is like locked down. Every kid is in their room or in the library. No kid leaves to go to the bathroom unescorted. You have to take down all the posters and anything that might give kids a hint or a clue. How will we ensure that is the student that is actually taking the test if we do this remotely or online? And so I think we might find that some of those results are going to be skewed. And I don't know, Chair Chamberlain, if you have discussed this with anyone or if you have any thoughts on that matter.
Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Kunish. Again, I'll repeat, I am not pretending it would be easy and it's going to be a simple walk down the path to get this done.
Yeah.
My intent, and I think our intent, is to let people know that they should expect to do these tests and to give the authority to the department if they need it, and to let the department also know that legislative intent is that these kids get evaluated and tested so we know what needs to be done going forward. So the technical pieces of it, clear. We've all taken tests through our lives, when I was in elementary school and junior high and high school and ever since. Same sort of stuff. And of course, the situation was a little easier. It wasn't necessarily remote, although they do have remote sites. I don't know how that could work that you go to that are secure. But the testing window opens March 8th, I believe is the date. That doesn't mean they had to be given March 8th, but that's the window when the window opens for them to do that. And as far as the number of tests, I get it. But the OLA, just a reminder, members, OLA did an audit of this a little while back and determined that the state tests were a fraction of the number of tests that the districts offered to give to their students. So no, I don't have all the answers, but this is just expectations, authority where it's needed, willing to tweak if we need to, but just to march forward and do what we have to do. It's going to go to the floor and we can work on it a little bit more before it gets up there. Thank you, Senator Kunish.
Yep, and thank you, Chair and Chair Chamberlain. I hear you very much. I don't know if there are alternatives to this, maybe putting off the MCAs now, but starting in the fall, maybe starting out the school year with some kind of an assessment so that we know where we're going to start. When you take this test, they can take it between March and I believe the middle of May. They have to close. There's windows that are open for each one of those sections. Everything has to be completed by the middle of May. Then we've got summer coming up, and we know about the summer slide. And so I guess the point I just want to make is that while we need to know where to meet these kids coming forward, do we really want to put the students and their families through this when actually in the fall, it could mean absolutely nothing because of the summer slide, because of the whole school year. And so I think those are some of the things that we have to really think closely about. And if it's really worth the stress of it all. So that's my comment. Thank you.
I see Senator Uyghur has his hand up next.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Kunish, for pointing out a lot of the issues that we all share. Senator Chamberlain, a question I want to make sure on interpretation. Are school boards required to have tests administered to students that are in distance learning in this bill?
Senator Chamberlain?
They're required to offer them. And
Okay.
Senator
currently, as everybody knows, parents can opt out of tests. That's current law, but the schools are required to offer them.
Okay,
Senator Uyghur?
okay, and Senator Chamberlain, what's your response to the department's concern about security of the test? And let's say you have a third grader or a fourth grader, and maybe a sibling is there. A lot of parents, they might be at work or not there, but a lot of issues just raised about the practicality, and then what might be done with this data that may not be a fair characterization. So I totally understand the requirement federally and the challenge, but meeting students where they are. But in distance learning, security issues have been posed. And I have talked to some school board members. I haven't had a lot of time to fully assess what associations feel, but I think we should make it clear that having them do an assessment for distant learning is perhaps not required of them given the security issues. But if you feel, maybe your response on the security issue that they posed.
Senator Chamberlain?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Uyghur. Again, I don't have all the answers. The bill authorizes, gives one, the expectation that the test shall be held, will be held. Number two, it gives them authorization to develop or direction to develop plans to do those. And if need be, parents can currently opt out under current law. And the belief is that the kids will be back in school as the governor has directed and allowed, and the commissioner has directed and allowed for all kids to get back to school. So again, security. We people in this country have accomplished great things and gone through gone through a lot of difficulty to accomplish great things, amazing things, and it's not always easy. We don't have the answers right away. My intent is to take this to the floor, and hopefully the House picks up the same. We can work out any details as we go forward. But right now, the plan is to move forward with the expectation that this can be done, will be done, needs to be done, and that we will work out any glitches as we move forward. So do I have all the answers to the security? No, but I don't think it's an adequate excuse to say we shouldn't have them or the district should not offer them. They should be offered, and we should go forward and try to figure this out.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Uyghur?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Senator Chamberlain, for your intent to work with stakeholders. We've had a red flag raised, and we don't have testimony from the local school boards here today. It would be helpful in the conversation to get that input, wouldn't you think? But, and I imagine teachers.
Well, I know what they would say because they've told me already, Senator Uyghur, Mr. Chair, they've told me already they don't approve, right? The AMSD, all the normal groups have said they don't want to do it. I get it. I'm saying, the people are saying, the parents are saying, and allies are saying, Excel and Ed is saying, we need to have the kids tested. Now let's figure out how to do it. We're assuming that all the kids are going to be back in school. The parents can opt out if they want, but we're saying we need to get these kids assessed so we know where they're at. And that's vitally important to the kids. We've all agreed to that piece. But yeah, those organizations disagree. I'll say for the record, AMSD doesn't like it, and probably MSBA and all the others out there. So, I have all due respect to those organizations, but I don't work for them. I work for the parents and the kids. I don't work for the lobbyists. I love the lobbyists. There's a lot of good ones out there. I don't work for them. I don't work for the Department of Education. I was elected by my constituents. I didn't get elected by the Department of Education or a group of lobbyists. I got elected by citizens to represent them. And they're saying, we need the test. We need to know where the kids are at. And we're saying, okay, Let's figure it out. We'll work together. And I'm willing to work with folks to figure out any glitches here between now and the time we get off the floor or we go to conference committee. So I'm willing to do that and make that commitment.
Senator
Mr. Chair?
Uyghur?
Yes, thank you, Senator Chamberlain. I also was elected and by citizens. And I value input from a lot of people. I wanted to raise the issues, particularly in the distance learning situation. And since the issue had been raised by local officials, and you have demonstrated, a support for them, I wanted to assure that, and I just didn't summarily dismiss that.
Oh, I know.
And so, I appreciate that. I want to get the temperature down a little bit and just see if there can be a commitment as to how this can amicably be resolved. We want to meet students' needs where they're at, and
we don't know where they're at.
We'll work on it.
Thank you, Senator Uyghur. Appreciate that. I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. I see Senator Duckworth has his hand up also. Senator Duckworth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. My question is for maybe our Minnesota Department of Education representative. If it's left to MDE, based on what you might be planning or what your organization might be looking for, what is the soonest we would expect to see some sort of statewide assessment of students under what MDE would offer as a plan?
Ms. Morse?
Mr. Chair, Senator Duckworth, I think that's what we're looking to explore coming up here, and that's why we've included that work in our policy bill. It doesn't set a strict time frame, but that's something that we would be ready to launch into right away and are very understanding of exactly what's being discussed today and the sentiments out there.
Senator Duckworth?
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much for that open and honest and transparent answer. I appreciate it. And Senator Chamberlain, I appreciate your bill because it brings a little bit of a timeline to when we would potentially begin to assess kids again, and just give us a snapshot of where they might be as they're coming back to schools, and so that we can plan for the next school year. So I see some validity to it. Look forward to seeing what MDE proposes as a potential timeline as well. But as we say in the military, in the absence of guidance, sometimes we have to develop our own. So I appreciate the discussion and thank you all so much.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth. Senator Chamberlain, no other hands up. Would you like to move on to closing comments and move your bill?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, members, for the questions and the input. The intent is not to get anybody intentionally wrapped around the axle, but to do the best we can for the kids and figure out a solution as we go forward with this. Take it to the floor, get to conference. Hopefully the House brings it up and we can hammer some things out in the next couple of weeks. Willing to do that, willing to listen. Thank you very much, members and Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator
Move
Chamberlain.
that Senate File 628 passed and sent to the floor.
Senator Chamberlain moves that Senate File 628 be passed the committee and move to the floor. Members, please turn your cameras on and give a thumbs up so we know you're voting. All those in the affirmative, aye.
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 All those opposed? The motion does prevail and the bill, Senate File 628, is referred to the floor.
To continue following these issues and more, watch legislative coverage Monday through Friday on the PBS Minnesota channel or visit our website, www.senate.mn/media.